All right. So you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Hey, how's it going, guys? I am Cody Dyer. I am the founder over here at Galaxy Host Games and DogeRun.io, as well as the author of the Proof of Existence token, co-founder of Governor DAO, and the head of blockchain innovations over at Finavant. So it is a full bag for me. I'm excited to talk to you guys over here today about DogeRun and the Galaxy Host metaverse and some of the really cool things we've been building.
Awesome. Very excited to talk about that as well. So let's start with this. How did the platform start, and give us a little backstory of it?
So the platform kind of began, I'm an avid gamer. I've been really, all my life, all my friends, all the people online, we spend time. Actually, I spent over 10 years playing World of Warcraft.
Oh, there you go.
So so I was really into the MMOs and living in a universe, right? So over the last few years, I've been really into the blockchain space. I work on, for a few different companies, and I kind of fell into the NFT trap and learning about the NFT gaming. I got really into DogeRun, and my first week of DogeRun, I actually bred a horse called Escobar, and the horse ended up, selling for what at the time was it was like $30,000 in Ethereum.
Jesus.
Yeah. So it ended up being, it was my first week playing the game. The breeding had just, come back out, and it ended up actually being a glitch pony. So the guy was who bought it from me, spent all that money. He was racing it a whole bunch, made a bunch of money off it, and then they asked him to stop racing it. So, but they actually, at the same time, they refunded him that 10th. So he actually won all those races, messed up all those other horses' stats, and then that guy still got reimbursed. And then on top of that, later, a couple months later, that guy actually sold Escobar again. Then I don't think the other guy knew that he couldn't race it. So that guy,
Wow.
ended up being a whole world over there.
He screwed everything up and banged hard.
Yeah, basically, it couldn't run. So I was really into Zed. I'm really into the racing and the blockchain genealogy and kind of how you could build into that universe. But some of the things I kind of realized that were going on over there, there was with the drops and the way that the floor was, and all the people who had been in the game for a while were all the best players. And they were everybody who was there from, years, last year before.
Right.
They're making tons of money off all the newcomers. And then as Zed keeps raising the floor price on the horses, the people who bought before are making a ton of money. So, and they're selling, the guys before are still selling below floor, making profit. But, they ended up raising the horse prices 300% on the drop for their Z1s, Z3s, things like that. Mm-hmm. And I ended up buying, a handful of them, of the Z3s. And then the next day, from the drop, they were already down, some ridiculous number. They were already down in ETH each. So I ended up losing out on a whole bunch of cash. And then that came into the May toppling of the whole destruction of the whole market hit, taking a 70% whack, and that.
Yeah.
So I got hit really hard, and I liquidated some absurd thousands of numbers of link out of OV, and it was I got hit really hard, combining in with the overexpense in Zed, and me seeing how they were kind of not necessarily mismanaging, but just not giving to the community and the customer as much as they really could be. And I feel like it was, people like to say that, DogeRun's a DogeRun cash grab copycat. But realistically, my eggs are for sale. The best price horses or dogs can be all for sale at the same price as the floor dogs. And, from the sale. And I'm not trying to make any sort of extreme revenue off it or selling these. And they're also backed by VRF, the Chainlink VRF, which is an integration that we talked about or will talk about.
Right.
And so I'm just really about fair gaming and figuring out, the best ways to go about working with anti-cheat and making it so that the gaming is fair. It's a community by gamers for gamers. And I plan on taking 0% of the revenue for IP or ownership and I'm not even paying myself the most. I'm paying like the game devs way more, and working on building a game that people can enjoy,
right,
and that people want to play, and that is basically so that you're the game, or you're the casino, if you will. And if you're throwing money into your own rake, you're just going to want to keep playing.
Right, exactly. So if you got to put into the money into something you love, basically. You want people to be passionate about the game.
And so I reached out to one of my acquaintances or friends who I've worked on some web development with, and he helped me get the website up. And it turns out that, you know, one of his childhood best friends happens to be an avid Unreal Engine developer.
Ooh.
So we got in a conversation with him, and he's like, I love it. I'd love to work on that. I'm very excited. You know, and this guy is passionate about building the game and, you know, working into the Galaxy Host metaverse, and we have a lot to offer. And when I asked him to start off with I was like, I know I'm gonna build a whole universe and a whole bunch of different planets, a whole bunch of different games, but I really just want to start here with the dogs, with the low poly dogs. And he laughed at me because he specializes in hyper realistic space environments. So
yeah, I was gonna say, with Unreal Engine, man, that's the real stuff right there.
Yeah, so you can see it on like the dogs themselves. They like reflect the world around them. Like their skin like literally is like reflective of the moon and the shades of all the planetary.
Wow.
You know, so it's really cool.
That's awesome. So yeah, you were talking about the VRF and the Chainlink, right? So you want to talk about that partnership?
Yeah, for sure. So what kind of really, I feel like, sets games apart, or kind of what the thought process is kind of how, or what one of the main things is, and people not complain about, but one of the hiccups that comes up in games is RNG, right? Random number generator.
I hate that.
And people feeling like, and, you know, praying to the RNG gods, or like the RNG gods being against you. And it's like, to what degree are these number generators kind of actually random? Or especially in the case of the Ethereum network, if you have a mint, you can actually program around the mint so that you can get the best mint out of an NFT collection if they're just using the Ethereum random number generator, and that you can actually make an algorithm that'll go around that.
Oh wow.
So exactly. So when a game that I'm trying to make provably fair, you know, or the most fair I can, I needed to provide something like Chainlink VRF with the verifiable randomness functionality that was provable on-chain randomness for you to draw your dogs, so that everybody who is entering the game has the same chance at being the best player.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was actually wondering about that. With a lot of NFTs, I always thought to myself, you know, what if there's some ins on these NFTs where like big investors or something like that are getting the rares all the time, and it's just impossible for other people to get it. And
it is. Well, and so you can do it that way, or you can just, you know, the same way it would be work with buying scratch tickets in a strip. You're just like, all right, I'm just going to buy 25 scratch tickets, you know, and then floor price sell back all the low ones and then keep the best ones, because they would, on Ethereum, they would print out in strips. You know, so like out of that, you know, 10,000 out of the collection, or say 7,000 out of the collection, right, you could just, you know, grab that whole stack of them the same way out of a scratch tickets roll. But as opposed to the VRF, which would be a guaranteed, you know, like a bingo number generator pulling up in that ball coming out, or a lottery number ball generator, right, blowing air out every time.
Gotcha. So one thing that I really like that you were talking about was that how you're trying to make it fair for everyone. And then I think that's the most important thing. Now, for people who play, is it going to be based on, like, would you say it's skill, or do casual players who don't have as much time to invest into the game, do they have something that they can get out of it as well? Or is it only for the people who are hardcore and like really just looking to get really good at the game?
Okay, so I'm trying to set it into effect so that, of course, that if you're more dedicated and you're paying more attention to the patterns, and you're keeping track of all those stats in game, and you're recognizing yourself, you will be able to have not necessarily an advantage, but a slight edge, because you're more aware of how the sequences work, and you're just more involved. But a new player should have no bar. You know, if the same time you're going to spend leveling up one dog, or, you know, leveling the achievements and experience on one dog is the same on leveling up on the other. You don't need to, you know, have 12 dogs to have the best dog, because you're going to be able to find out your dog's abilities and perks and where they shine. You know, like for example, with the DogeRun, the kind of the storyline is there's a far off galaxy space race of dogs that are overpopulating their planet. You know, they never die, so they have to send off escape pods, and one of the escape pods lands on the moon, and we find them. The Galaxy Host finds the first pod, and we're helping these dogs assemble a transmitter that is able to help reach back to the homeworld of Dogetopia, or the mothership of Dogetopia. And so you're racing through your galaxy, trying to set up through the different planets, trying to find your transmitter for the single player storyline, and then assembling these pieces so that you can unlock other worlds and build these other pieces. But if you're going to just go into a multiplayer and join another person's game, if you're acquainted with your dog, you will definitely be able to. So there's not going to be any bad dog. Right. You know, you just might not be in the right planet. You know, you might not be racing in the right gravity. You know, they might shine on Saturn's rings, and you're you're on Pluto. So there's going to be different times where one dog is more appropriate. And for the sake of the storyline, you know, you might be chomping at it's like the same thing in like Pokemon. If you're trying to beat the rock gym and you only have your grass Pokemon, you know, you might need to find a way to find another way to beat that race. Right. So there's not that the race is impossible. It's just the affinities that you have might not be set for that planet.
Right. Now, you also said that there's going to be a solo and a multiplayer, correct?
So the intent is to have a single player storyline, a more casual storyline, so you can like build up your ability to traverse space and being able to get through the game and earn more rewards, and there'll be more in-game achievements and like status points of you. Like there'll be things you can only unlock by completing things through the single player, but the multiplayer is in place so that you can, you know, jump and play a game. Same way anybody just wants to, you know, you buy Call of Duty. You don't buy Call of Duty 12 for the single player anymore. You know what I mean? You might have bought Medal of Honor or Call of Duty 1 or 2 for the storyline, but people aren't playing games for the storyline for the most part anymore. But there will be a degree where we give you more for integrating and learning out and how to traverse through the space.
Right. So that was actually going to be my next question, was because a lot of people, especially nowadays, there are some people who like to do PvP and there are people who like to do PvE, which is like solo. So I was going to ask you, like, what benefits does someone who prefers PvE over PvP get that PvP wouldn't, or maybe vice versa?
So the PvE, if you will, would have you the ability to kind of almost hone your dog understanding and kind of find out more about it'd be almost like if you were going to, just for example, if you were in Heroes of the Storm, or like any game where you're trying to learn a new character, right, you might play against some bots to figure out if you're good with the character or how the character plays and handles. And then you might go take it to the PvP tracks when you kind of, you know, I think I can play matchmaker now because I learned how to play, you know, this character.
Gotcha. So the solo is more training and becoming familiar with how your
and then it'll have like certain rewards that like indicate your, like, I'm really around the idea of achievement factors and like having. So basically, what my hopes is to have you as your account integrating with the metaverse, and you earning experience on that account and racking up, you know, your mileage, if you will, so that you're leveling up your trainer persona. And then your dogs are kind of like leveling up like the Pokemon, or, you know, so it'd be like you're a trainer, like a WoW character, and then you have your own, you know, in your own metaverse. And then with all the different games and the other stuff you can play with all the different experience, like RuneScape with the different skills that you're racking up experience bars on. Right. And then your dogs are like your, you know, one of your access points into the game, and your collection of your racing material, and your one of the things you're training, or one of your Pokemon. Right.
Gotcha. So, okay. So bring it back a little bit. You were talking about how, like, you know, the very beginning, you were talking about that story about how you did that glitched horse, right? You know, there was that glitched horse, and that kind of reminded me of like the Wreck-It Ralph thing with that little girl who glitched and whatnot. And And speaking of Wreck-It Ralph, you talked to me off of this little recording here about how, you know, what was your goal with the whole Wreck-It Ralph thing and their tunnel system, right? So that would be under what is Galaxy Host Games, which is what this game is under, right? DogeRun.
Right.
So you want to talk a little bit about what Galaxy Host Games is all about?
You know, so Galaxy Host Games is, to me, is, you know, a community by gamers for gamers, and building a world in a metaverse in a time that we want to live, in a world we want to live in, providing the opportunity for us to create and grow an ecosystem that we enjoy, that isn't siphoning off the fruits of our labors. You know, the same way that some companies have come in, like Treyarch, and purchased out Blizzard, and, you know, then games will run off in their own different ways. And I really want to keep it so that all of the value that's being generated in the game is returned into the game and returned into our ecosystem, and all of our developers are given a better chance to develop more greater projects, and all of our planets in our ecosystem and all of our partnerships are provided more of a chance to grow their own worlds. And so, like, Galaxy Host is something I've got going with some people I've worked in this with, that I've worked in the space my entire time, and one of my community managers is a lifelong friend, and I'm really interested in building up my people and building out our world and offering up the best possible world I can. And especially for a project like Galaxy Host Games, for me, as opposed to working on, you know, like Governor DAO or like Finovon or biometric finances and proof of existence, it's those things feel so, you know, like life or death sometimes. And it's like Galaxy Host is a world where you can live in and you can respawn. You know, it's like you don't die in this metaverse, and it's not life or death all the time. And it provides you, it's almost like working on this kind of like gave me a little bit of a, you know, I don't want to, you know, make any sort of comparisons or anything to the slice, but working like as someone like Elon Musk, and people be like, why the hell do you like Doge token? Like, what on earth could you possibly see in that? And it's just that it's simple. It's a meme. It's just a Shiba Inu. It doesn't go any deeper than that.
Right.
You know? And that's what he needed for those points in his times, or that's what people need, is a place to not escape. And I want to build a world that you don't have to escape from. Because, like, for example, we're in some conversations with some other companies that are not to be named yet, but because it's not really solidified, but working on, for example, like building a DEX, a planet you can fly to in the metaverse, which is a DEX, a decentralized exchange you can interact with, and you can use that DApp in that world, and you don't have to leave Unreal. So if we can make this world, our game, into a VR world or an augmented world that you could interact with real world things. If you could go to a planet where you go to Instacart and you order all your groceries and they get shipped to your house, that's one less time you have to leave the your metaverse or your game, right?
So the goal here is to make the world lazier. I like it.
Well, it's to give the world a better interface thing that they enjoy.
Right. No, I love that.
Or let you be able to fly through space, and, you know, if you be able to sit outside of Saturn on Titan and watch the rings of Saturn just turn, you know, because like there's nothing else in the universe to do.
Right. So basically, when this comes out, the whole world's gonna be like WALL-E, where all the people are really, really fat and just sitting in their trays, walking around.
Well, not if we can evolve it to like there's a Omni One, which is like a VR game system where it's like a little pod that you can run on, and it connects to your back.
Oh, that's right.
And you could run full steam in the thing. And they're just virtual right now, but once we can kind of get that into a metaverse type capacity, and they have a developer kit, so if we can kind of get down our line and then work into building out in like a virtual world like that, where you could like, I'm really interested in keen on you being able to watch from the stands of the races and being able to sit on tracks. And
some Ready Player One stuff going on.
Right, and having your NFTs and other stuff like that sitting in the stands with you, so it's like, I really want you to have like your own immersive bat cave where you can just walk in, pick out your avatar, and then like walk to an event. So one of the other, with some of the other companies I'm working for, we're very heavy with Constellation Network, and we're working on this incubator program for the BioFi token. and having the people noticing in that class that there's a need for the biometric access point, or where people are talking about KYC. And there's another company, I don't want to exactly mention the name, but they're working with anti-cheat, and they're trying to build on the Constellation network. And I got in a conversation with them yesterday, the day before meeting them, and now I'm trying to set them up, a planet, potentially set them up a planet in the metaverse. And they work with anti-cheat, and they have a mouse detecting AI, so they can tell if your mouse is a bot or a human's interaction.
Wow.
And if that is something that they want to connect to users for games, so it's like an authenticator check mark that gets put on for streamers. And I'm actually I'm going to introduce you to these guys probably over the next week or so. They're very cool people, and they've got some really cool products that they're developing, and they're interested in like working with streamers and gamers and trying to kind of get that whole momentum going.
Right.
For like a verified streamer base and non-cheater streamers.
Yeah, there you go. That'd be nice. A lot of them have gotten caught for cheating. That's the funny thing.
Yeah. So these guys are like very heavy on the anti-cheat, and I'm kind of keen on building in the verifiable randomness with the anti-cheat, with the consensus mechanism of proof of reputable observation, and having it so that every individual is a proven true individual, and every action that's happening in the game is verifiably random. So we're not cheating the functions, and the functions aren't cheating us.
Right, that's awesome. Well, that actually answers the question I was going to ask you, was basically, what was the future? So we covered that. So my next question...
Well, no, the future looks like living... No, you really did cover it. Like just living in these worlds and having it so that... So I think one of the main aspects of these MMOs is the social aspect, and being able to immerse yourself and live in that atmosphere. And the very first thing I'm trying to get out here for DogeRun in the Galaxios metaverse is you being able to log into the metaverse, having connect your wallet, and then being able to add friends and start messaging your friends. So that's like, the day one stuff I'm hoping for.
That's awesome. So you were speaking about partnerships. Do you have any other partnerships?
The two that I'm kind of trying to work behind the scenes, I've kind of alluded to a little bit. One is a decentralized exchange on the Phantom network.
Okay.
And they're building around, I'd like to build them up their whole planet, and build out basically, like I was explaining, like a virtual world you could fly to, and then interact with like a decentralized exchange in the DApp. So the DApp would interact with your wallet.
That's awesome.
And then the one that we're just started talking to with the anti-cheat and detection for your mouse is a tech they already have working, and they have a verifiable. They're working on a verifiable KYC streamer base and interacting with athletes, and they're really big on esports. So my hopes is to work into the esports and the DeFi world and integrate them in planets.
Oh, that would be awesome. You think esports is really going to come into this? You think that's the future?
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, so for example, like just say hypothetically, you wanted to watch people play Overwatch. There's no reason I couldn't literally set up an arena in the DogeRun or the Galaxios metaverse where you could go as your avatar, go sit in a stand, literally buy a ticket to a stand.
Right.
I could actually build an arena, sell it to Overwatch, have them host the event in the metaverse, and have people be able to sit around the stands and watch those people play from those views.
Wow.
in the center point.
That would be incredible.
So I'm really keen to kind of get straight like into that membrane of esports and biometric access to this metaverse. I think that's where the future really is going to take off.
That sounds absolutely incredible. So you can pretty much do any game into the side of the metaverse, is what you're saying.
So yeah, so you can live in, you can watch it, and you can, there's no reason that we can't have you viewing it from some sort of another standpoint. Like it'd just be like watching TV in a world.
That's so crazy. We are literally on the line of Ready Player One. That's like one of my favorite movies of all time because I really want to live in that world. Let's see. So now that we covered all the games and whatnot, do you want to talk about what Doger is?
Yes. So the Doger token is the utility token, governance token for the DogeRun part of the ecosystem, and everything that happens within the DogeRun game and all of the liquidity that is provided and all the reward structure that's won in Doger and DogeRun will be revolving around the DogeRun or the Doger token.
Right.
And that's available currently on Uniswap. You can view it on Dex Tools, DOGER. And it's very low cap right now. So the Doger token is actually provided liquidity by the NFT sales, and the revenue that the project will generate goes back into the ownership of the token. So when the game makes money, I don't make money. I don't pay myself out that way. I pay the token, and my supply of the token goes up in price, and that's how I make money.
Gotcha.
So I'm never taking exact 100%, and that's how it should be. That's like, there shouldn't be, oh, we're going to save, some large percent for the owner because he made the thing. Well, to a degree, yeah, but no, because I had the opportunity to invest early, and that's how it should be.
Right.
So that's what I did was I invested in myself. Like I'm probably the biggest, if not one of the biggest investors on the front side. And that's how I plan on making my money, is through believing and investing in myself and my team.
I think that's what's going to make it a success, to be completely honest with you, that, you're really looking out for the community, and by doing that, they're going to look out for you.
That's what I think. That's what my hopes anyway. And I'm not taking, and if I can return all that functionality back to you, and the same thing I said before, if you are the casino, you'll keep throwing back into the rake.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's what I really like about where you're going with this, is that you don't hear that, especially in the NFT world right now. People are pretty greedy. So, and
people just going from project to project to project, selling another NFT like the last NFT, like the last NFT.
Yeah.
And so what I could have done. So the Doger's kind of the DogeRun token, the NFTs themselves, they've sold okay. I've sold like 500 or so of them, but they didn't see, the crazy traction that a lot of other projects see off the bat. And when that happened, some people will be like, oh, if it doesn't, go great, you're better off just starting over with a new project. And, then that would be, one, betraying the old people who invested, and two, why wouldn't I just go and bake that value back into the people who have already invested?
Right.
For example, like we could have taken these spaceships that we're creating and just gone off and done a whole new project with the same world. And, we're just making a spaceship project now because people didn't, immediately jump onto the dogs. But no, because the whole plan was to already make a universe and then just keep adding into it. So you already got your dogs, and people are still earning their dogs, which are still going to have more value than that. And we're also going to be airdropping having the claim for the ships.
Right.
And we're also going to be having the airdrop of the token. And right now, so I could probably say this, my intent is to put 1% of the annual revenue back into the origin ships, the Omni ships that we're going to be putting out. So my intent originally is I had to crack the eggshell, which is going to be my conduit for all the airdrops and things.
Right.
So we're actually going to be making it so that the Omni ship or the origin ship is going to be the conduit, and you're going to be depositing your eggshell to claim your ship, and your ship is what's going to be giving you the reduced incubation fees, the increased incubation or breeding payouts, and all the in-game rewards. And I'm hoping to introduce on top of the 1% total token supply, that there's 1% of revenue that's actually given back to the origin ships. So the owners of the game, if any, are actually the origin ships, and
right.
the governance of the project through the Doger token and the owners of the token.
Gotcha. Now that's another thing I actually wanted to discuss, because recently I've been doing some research on, NFT games and stuff. I'm still pretty new to it myself. And I was originally going to get into Axel Infinity, I believe it's called, or Axie Infinity. I don't know if I said it right.
Oh, yeah.
But recently I've discovered that there's kind of a pyramid scheme going on with that, with the whole scholarship program and whatnot with, that they have going on. And that's like the only real way to make a lot of money and all this other stuff. And right now, a lot of people are actually complaining about the way the economy runs in the game. Is that something that you're really, really focused on, to make a fair economy and one that's really good? Because that's the main problem I find with a lot of these games, that they have a lot of not a great success rate, is because of the way their economy runs. So what's your plan with that?
Absolutely. So I'm really coming from all these other this other DeFi background and working with all these other projects and really, finding out the trial and error of what works and what doesn't work, I'm really keen to come out of the gun with a proper, not necessarily a recycle redistribution mechanism of how the earnouts and the payouts are actually awarded and returned. Excuse me. And then I'll be, I'm really intent on making it so that the project itself and the governance of the project it's going to be a DAO almost, or basically a DAO of the token owners and the project owners deciding the fate and the future of the product. Okay. If all of us are in this together, we're all making the revenue of the ecosystem, we're all building it. And then if the people, they want to submit a proposal of, I think we should do something differently. It's like, because my sole intention is to do this the best way I can for the community and my constituents and my people. Right. And if they think that there's a better way to do it, let's do that. If there's a better way to do something, we're going to do it that way. Because I'm not trying to, there's nothing I'm hiding. I'm not trying to do anything shady. I'm really just trying to make a pure game in an Unreal Engine metaverse, which isn't really being. I don't want to play on Sandbox. I don't want to play on Sandbox. Right. You know what I'm saying?
And that's I think that's very important because the community will always let you know. And I mean, you could see from games that have failed, the community was always reaching out to the devs or like trying desperately to save the game or like tell them what to do, and like they never listen, right? And that's another problem with like even esports, like the balancing of games and stuff like that. So I mean, like I think it's very, very important that you're listening to your community, and I think that's what's going to make it so successful is that you really care about them.
It's 100%, and it's like I want to make games I want to play, and right. I want to be. I'm a community member.
Right, exactly.
I don't want to be making something that I'm not going to make something I wouldn't want to play, and I'm not going to make something that would take money from me. So I don't want to take money from you. I want you to give money to you.
Yeah, and I love that you said that, like a game that you would play. I always feel like some of the games that I play, especially, I'm going to give an example, like Overwatch. I feel like sometimes they don't play their own game if they realize how unbalanced it is and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And it's like, I always say, it's like they don't play their own game. Like if they played this and played against their community or whatever, they would see how unfair, how unbalanced some of this stuff is.
And be like, why do you guys keep like, and it's in the sense of Blizzard, it's like, why do you guys keep releasing old games? Like, it's like you guys aren't playing with us at all.
Yeah, I know.
We want new games.
They're not being innovative whatsoever, or like doing the same events over and over again every year in Overwatch. Like they're never creating something new. And the community, you can, if you just look at the community is always saying stop doing this, or like if you read the community, your game will succeed even more. You just got to listen to the community, and that's exactly what you're going to be doing.
And that's a big thing with the DeFi and the decentralized gaming that's coming in here. And it's like, if somebody has a good idea for a world, in a game on a world, we're gonna help you build it.
I think that's what we want. Absolutely incredible. So, is there any last words you'd like to say? Is there anything to the community you'd like to say? Is there any questions that you have been asked before that you feel that you didn't cover in this interview so far?
I really do want to hammer on my appreciation for the handful or the dozen or so people that have in the community that aren't part of the team, that have been really making their best effort to be active and be inclusive. And I'm really appreciative of all of our early adopters and all our early founders, because I see all those chats. I'm there every day. I see what's going on, and just because I'm not chatting doesn't mean I'm not busy. Just because we're not discussing doesn't mean that David's not coding 80 hours a week. It doesn't mean it's we're not building out this massive world that we're really looking forward to bring to you guys. And we might not have seen the immediate traction that we were expecting off the bat, but that doesn't mean that our hearts aren't in it. We're not passionate about this, and we don't really. We see the future of where this can go, and I'm really happy to be a part of this and being able to be enabled by the people around me. And this is just the beginning, and I'm really happy to be here. Thanks, guys.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for the interview, and I hope that everyone learned a lot about what you're bringing to the table here, because it's honestly incredible, and I really think this is something to look out for. I think the game is going to succeed with how much you care for the community. So
Awesome. I really appreciate that.
No problem. All right, everyone. Have a good one.
Take care.